ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam thematic series. In the thematic series 1, we discussed the first 3 verses of the first canto, first chapter, verses 1, 2, 3, which deal with Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan. Especially, we spent a lot of time on 111. We studied Prabhupada's commentary in 2 classes and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's 5 explanations based on Bhagavatam as a lamb, Bhagavatam as a sun, Bhagavatam as rasa. And then the Abhidheya, Dharma Projita Kaitava, Paramo Nirmat Saranam. And the Prayojan is to merge and bless Nigamakalpataror Galitam Phalam. Now, in the Srimad Bhagavatam thematic series 2, which is part of first chapter itself, is the 6 questions of the sages. So this second series, we will be focusing on the 6 questions of the sages. And then in the thematic series 3, the 6 answers to the 6 questions of the sages will be our focus. So let's begin now with the thematic series 2 of the 6 questions of the sages. So we had this overview of the Bhagavatam based on the Padma Puran verse, how the Bhagavatam was compared to the body of the Lord, and based on the 10 subjects. As I mentioned in the prelude, the subject, glories, and the goal of Bhagavatam, which was the thematic series 2. Now, the questions of the sages is the thematic series 2. But before that, there is a setting of the scene for the sage's inquiry. So we will be discussing both these aspects. One is the setting of the scene and then the questions. This is the overview of chapter 1. After the definition of the absolute truth is described and what is the true religion or abhidheya and how one should relish Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, Vyasdev is offering his Mangalacharan in these 3 verses, and then he takes us to Naimisharanya, where the sages headed by Shaunakadi Rishi are performing a 1,000-year-old sacrifice for the future generation of the people in Kali Yuga. And in that assembly, Suta Goswami arrives. And the sages uh, offer a seat to Suta Goswami and then put forth questions. Now, the questions by the sages it begins from verse 9 and it continues till verse 23. And there are 6 questions posed by the sages. So that is our theme. The 6 questions posed by the sages. Now, these questions are not in a chronological order. After they pose one question and the second question, then there is some, other verses which are spoken by the sages. And what is the connection? What is the link? That also we will try to figure out in these verses from 9 to 23. Okay. So let's now, the setting of the scene for the sages to ask these 6 questions. Let us go to that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the second section, verses 4 to 8. The sages glorify Suta Goswami. That is the theme. Naimishe Nimisha Setre Rishaya Shaunakadaya Satram Swargaya Lokaya Sahastra Samam Asata. Now, the translation of these verses is based on Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's translation, because Vishwanath Chakra Thakur gives the flow and the connection between one verse and another verse. So that's why I've used Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's translations. At the place called Naimisharanya, Naimishe, the place of Vishnu, Animisha Kshetre, the sages headed by Shaunaka, Rishaya Shaunakadaya. Rishaya is again here plural, Bahuvachan. There were sages, there were many sages, applied themselves, asata, to a sacrifice, satram. Satram is sacrifice, lasting 1,000 years, sahastra samam. Samam means the time. How much it is? 1,000 years. For attaining the planet of the Supreme Lord, or for going to the heavenly planets, Swargaya, Lokaya. So there are 2 explanations of Swargaya, Lokaya, and this will become clear in the commentary of Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. But first, let us see the commentary of Srila Prabhupada. Now, Prabhupada begins his commentary. Now, since we are doing a thematic study, we are going elaborately into Prabhupada's commentary, line by line, and then we are going to Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary also line by line. Prabhupada says, the prelude of the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken in the previous 3 shlokas. So here you can see how Prabhupada's purpose, when we study very systematically, we know that the first 3 verses are the prelude, and you can see the prelude, the subject, glories, and the goal of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada is also saying the prelude was spoken in these 3 verses. Janmadaya Dharma Projit Kaitava and Nigama Kalpatarur. Now the main topic of this great literature is being presented. Srimad Bhagavatam, after its first recitation by Srila Sukadeva Goswami, was repeated for the second time at Naimisharanya. Now, the setting of the scene is Naimisharanya, where Sut Goswami is speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam to the sages. Now, the Srimad Bhagavatam was revealed in mystic vision to Vyasadev, and it was instructed by Narad Muni, and Narad Muni's instruction Vyas follows. And in a mystic vision, a divine revelation happened where Vyas saw Krishna, Maya, and how the jivas are entangled in Maya, and the solution he found as Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasya Vayashuyamanana Krishne Paramapurusha and Bhaya Shoka Mo Apaha. Once, when one begins to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, then what will happen? The illusion will be destroyed of the jivas. So that's what he saw. And he re-edited the Bhagavad Puran and made it into Amal Puran, and first time spoke it to Sukdev Goswami, his own son. Not that because he's attached to his son, because he was only qualified to understand this Amal Puran. So in one sense, Srimad Bhagavatam was first spoken by Vyas to Sukdev. Sukdev spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj in that assembly for 7 days. There Sut Goswami was seated. And after many years, I don't know, some people say it is 100 years, 200 years, 230 years, but I am not sure. Suta spoke this Srimad Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya. So what Bhagavatam is available to us, what Vyas has given it to us, is the conversation which is Suta and Shaunak. So that's why the setting of the scene is Naimisharanya. Paragraph 2, Prabhupada. In the Vyava Viha Tantra, it is said that Brahma, the engineer of this particular universe, contemplated a great wheel which could enclose the universe. It was his contemplation. He was contemplating a great wheel. A wheel has a hub, and he was contemplating like this. The hub of this great circle was fixed at a particular place known as Naimisharanya. So this hub of this great circle was fixed at Naimisharanya. Similarly, there is another reference to the forest of Naimisharanya in the Varaha Puran, where it is stated by performance of sacrifice at this place, the strength of the demonic people is curtailed. So this is the glory of Naimisharanya. Why? Uh, uh, the discourses are happening in the holy abodes because this is the glory of these holy abodes. So this is the glory of Naimisharanya. Thus, Brahmanas prefer Naimisharanya for such sacrificial performances. So these Brahmanas or the sages were performing this yajna. Now, Prabhupada focuses here in paragraph 3 on the glory of the devotees or the sages. The devotees of Lord Vishnu offer all kinds of sacrifices for his pleasure. Yajna Vishnu. Yajna is meant for the pleasure of Vishnu. The devotees are always attached to the service of the Lord, whereas fallen souls are attached to the pleasure of material existence. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that anything performed in the material world for any reason other than for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu causes further bondage for the performer. So where does in the Bhagavad Gita Krishna says this? Anyone knows? Raise your hands. Where in the Gita does Krishna say this? That anything performed other than for the pleasure of the Lord causes bondage? You can raise your hands. Yes. Bhagavad Gita 3.9. Yajnartat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. So, as we are studying systematically this course, we can all have the book Srimad Bhagavatam with us, and you can mark there, it is 3.9. It is enjoined, therefore, that all acts must be performed sacrificially for the satisfaction of Vishnu and his devotees. So Prabhupada is specifically commenting on the satram. Satram is the sacrifice. This will bring everyone peace and prosperity. Now here Prabhupada in the further paragraph says, the great sages are always anxious to do good to the people in general. And as such, the sages headed by Shaunaka and others assembled at this holy place of Naimisharanya with a program of performing a great and a continuous chain of sacrificial ceremonies. So here you can see that the great devotees are anxious to do good for the people. They carry that anxiety, that spiritual anxiety. Forgetful men do not know the right path for peace and prosperity. However, the sages know it well, and therefore, for the good of all men, they are always anxious to perform acts which may bring about peace in the world. So, second time again, Prabhupada is using this always anxious. They are sincere friends of all living entities, Suridam, and at the risk of great personal inconvenience, they are always engaged in the service of the Lord for the good of all people. You can just go into the heart of a pure devotee here of Srila Prabhupada, that what kind of anxiety Prabhupada took to start the Hare Krishna movement. And at the risk of great personal inconvenience, are always engaged for the service of the Lord, for the good of all people, not for their own benefit, just like the Gyanis and Yogis do. They want liberation. So, for their own personal moksha, they are engaged in spiritual activities. But here, what a great risk Prabhupada took, that Jaluduta. What risk he took, staying in that Fifth Avenue, New York, uh, engaged in the service of the Lord for the good of all people. So, this is the heart of a pure devotee. Lord Vishnu is just like a great tree, and all others, including the demigods, men, siddhas, charanas, vidyadhars, and all living entities are like branches, twigs, and leaves of that tree. By pouring water on the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree are automatically nourished. Only those branches and leaves which are detached cannot be satisfied. Detached branches and leaves dry up gradually despite all watering attempts. Similarly, human society, when it is detached from the personality of Godhead, like detached branches and leaves, is not capable of being watered, and one is attempted to do so is simply wasting his energy and resources. So here, Prabhupada is focusing now more on this point of the purport, where he's saying that they are always engaged in the service of the Lord for the good of all people. Because by worshipping the Lord, everyone is satisfied. Everyone is satisfied. But those who are not worshipping the Lord, they are like detached branches and leaves. So that's why there is no happiness and peace. So the pure devotees try to make them attached to the Lord. The modern materialistic society is detached from its relation to the Supreme Lord. And all its plans, which are being made by atheistic leaders, are sure to be baffled at every step. Yet they do not wake up to this. In this age, the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord is the prescribed method for waking up. So Prabhupada here directly goes to the solution that the highest yajna is the Sankirtan yajna. Yajnanam japayas yagyosmi. Although these sages were doing sacrifice, the yajna, which is the uh, sacrificial arena where Yagya Havan Kund is there, and they were anxious to do good for the all people, but they did not know the true solution, that in Kali Yuga it is chanting of the holy names. That is also a yagya, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada is directly giving the solution here. The ways and means are most scientifically presented by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and intelligent persons may take advantage of his teachings in order to bring about real peace and prosperity. Srimad Bhagavatam is also presented for the same purpose, and this will be explained more specifically later in the text. Shukdev Goswami, in his answer to Parikshit Maharaj in the second canto, will bring out Hare Namanu Kirtanam. That is the highest, Okay, so let's go now to the commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. If you have any questions, you are always free to raise your hands. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur again offers his Mangalacharan, offering my respects to my Guru and to the ocean of mercy Krishna. I take shelter of Sri Shuka, the eye of the universe and the master of the world. He is the eye of the universe and the master of the world. My eyes are covered by ignorance, but Sridhar Swami, who wrote Bhavartha Deepika, being very merciful to me in producing this commentary, is my means to success. As we had mentioned in the thematic series 1, in the Mangalacharan verse for 111, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes it clear that I have studied the Bhavartha Deepika of Sridhar Swami, I have studied the Shad Sandarbhas of Jeev Goswami, and I have studied the Goswami's commentaries on the Bhagavatam, and I am now producing this commentary, Sarartha Darshani, he says. But Sridhar Swami is the original commentator on the Srimad Bhagavatam, so he is giving his respectful obeisances to him, and he is completely dependent on his mercy. This commentary belonging to the Lord, giving bliss to the hearts of the devotees, has arisen by the mercy of the Acharyas and my Guru. Now, facing the listeners, the speaker invokes auspiciousness at the beginning of the recital of the Bhagavatam by uttering Om. It is said. Now, facing the listeners, the speaker, who is the speaker here? Let us try to understand whether devotees are able to follow. Who is the speaker here? Facing the listeners, the speaker invokes auspiciousness at the beginning of the recital of the Bhagavatam by uttering Om. Who is the speaker here? Raise your hands. Anyone knows? One hand has been raised. Okay, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Sut Goswami Prabhu.
Sut Goswami. Okay. Any other thoughts? Anyone else? Who is the speaker here? Facing the listeners. Anyone knows? It is Vyasdev. Actually, Satyam Param Dhimai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva has been recited by Vyasdev. And when Vyasdev is offering his obeisances, Satyam Param Dhimai, it is Bahuvachan. So he's offering obeisances along with all his disciples and to everyone in the future will also recite the Bhagavatam. So it is Vyasdev, the speaker. So he utters Om. Now, here the Omkar meaning is given. Omkaraschata Shabdascha Dvav Eto Brahmana Pura Kantam Vitva Vinirjito Tena Mangaliko Ubho. In ancient times, Brahmana Pura, the words Om and Atha, Omkarascha Atha Shabdascha, are uttered by Brahma. Kantam Bhitva Vinarjito, thus both words Thou Eto produce auspiciousness. The Mangala Au Ubho. So Atha and Om, these are, they bring auspiciousness. So Om, the uttering of the Om brings an auspiciousness. By Om, the speaker indicates that the Bhagavatam is an expansion of the meaning of Om. It's an expansion of the meaning of Om. Om refers to O my Lord. Who is that Lord? Vasudev. Brahma created a wheel in his mind. Now, Brahma uttered this also. The rim of the wheel is called a Nemi. The rim is called as Nemi. That place where the rim, Nemi, fell off, Shriyate, is called Naimisha or Naimisha. Vayu Puran describes this. Now, Vishnu Chakra Thakur is giving a little more detailed explanation of Naimisharanya. Vayu Puran describes this. Now, I'll just read the translation. The mental wheel created by me will be released. Etan manomayam chakram maya shishtam visrijate. Brahma is saying this. Okay? The place where the rim comes off will be favorable for performing austerities. Yatrasya shriyate nemi sa deshas tapas shubha. Having said this, iti uktva, and having created a wheel brilliant like the sun in his mind and offering his respect to it, Surya Sankasham Chakram Srishtva Manomayam, Brahma released that great deity, the wheel. Pranipatya Mahadeva Visasarja Pitamaha. The rejoicing Brahmanas, Tepi, Harshitara, Vipra, offering respects to the Lord of the universe, Pranamya Jagatam Prabhum, then journeyed to the place where the rim of the wheel fell off. Praya Yus Tasya Chakrasya Yatra Nemir Visriyate. That forest became known as Naimisha. Tadvam ena Vikyatam Naimisham, and is worshipped by the sages. Muni Pujita. So the sages all went to, these are not the sages Shaunakadya, the other sages went to Brahma, and Brahma, they may be asked, which is a place for us to do tapasya. And Brahma in his mind contemplated a wheel, and the wheel has a rim, and he released this from his mental contemplation, and actually a wheel started moving, and all the sages followed, and it fell at Naimisharanya. The rim of the wheel fell off at Naimisharanya, and that place is where one can perform tapasya, and it is worshipped by the sages. That is the glory of Naimisharanya. And Naimisharanya, there is a tirtha which is called as the Chakra Tirth. That is where the chakra is there of the wheel. Various devotees have personal desires to fulfill through various types of bhakti. All the desires of these persons upon which their minds, free from distraction, have become fixed, can be fulfilled by immersion in the topics of the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam has been arranged to bring out this point clearly at the very beginning with the description of the sages at Naimisharanya. Naimisha can also be spelled Naimisha. The meaning of Naimisha with the cerebral sh is found in the Vara Puran. Now, the second quotation in which Prabhupada also spoke of the Vara Puran, he is giving that. Having done that, Evam Kritva, the Lord then spoke, Tato Deva Uvacha to Gaurmukha, Munim Gaurmukham Tada. The powerful demon, Dhanavan Balam, was killed, Nihitam. That forest, Aranya Amshims, Aranya Asmims. Quickly, in a moment, Naimisha Nedem. Thus, this place is called Naimisharanya. Tatastu etan Naimisharanya samgitam. It will be very suitable for Brahmanas in the future. Bhavishyanti yathartam vai Brahmananam visheshakam. So, Naimisha also has another meaning from the Vara Puran, because a demon was killed by the Lord in that forest within a moment, Nimesh. And that is why this is Aranya, and within a moment he was killed. So that's why the name is Naimisharanya, which is very suitable for the Brahmanas in the future. The Lord spoke to sage Gaur Mukha. So the Lord had spoken to the sage Gaur Mukha. By using this word with this meaning, it is suggested that one should reside in this place for quickly killing the enemies such as material desires. So here the enemies are the material desires. In the beginning, Shaunaka and other sages were attached to Sakama Karma. So please remember, these sages were not pure devotees, they were karma kandis. They were performing a yagya. Thus, the verse indicates that they performs sacrifice for attaining Swarga. Swargaya Lokaya, it is mentioned, right? So these were karma kandi brahmanas who were performing a yagya to attain Swarga. It is well known, however, that by hearing and contemplating various Puranas and other scriptures from Romaharsha, they became inquisitive about spiritual life. So they became jigyasu by hearing all the Puranas from Romaharsha. By association with Suta Goswami, Ugrashavas, they developed a small taste for bhakti, showing their inquisitiveness, it is said. So when Suta Goswami came there, they had Mishra Bhakti, by which they wanted to perform a yagya to attain Swarga. But by associating with the pure devotee like Suta Goswami, they gave up that material desire and they also started performing Shuddha Bhakti. So here it is said, what is said? Karmanya asmin anashvase dhuma dhumratmanam bhavan apayayati govinda padpadmasvam madhu. You let us, Bhavan Karmanya asmin, blackened by the smoke, dhuma dhumratmanam, at this uncertain sacrifice, anava swase, drink the intoxicating nectar of the lotus feet of Govinda. Apayati Govinda Pada Padmasavam Madhu. So they were doing a yagya to attain Swarga, but Suta gave them the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. So they admit that. So this is in the first canto, 18th chapter. When they took up to bhakti, then their inquisitiveness became weakened, and performance of the sacrifice for attaining Swarga became false. That is indicated in the following. Kalimagatam agyaya kshetresmin vaishnave vayam asina dirgha satrena katayam shakshana hare. So right in the first canto, first chapter, verse 21 only, they will say, knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, Kalimagatam agya, we, Vaishnava Vayam, are assembled in this holy place. Asina Kshetrasmin, to hear at great length the transcendental message of the Lord. Dhirga Satrena Katayam. And in this way, perform sacrifice for the Lord. Sakshana Hare. So they were performing a sacrifice of attaining Swarga, but they sat there performing the yagya of hearing Harikatha. So they gave up that. That became secondary. So here it is mentioned, they took up to bhakti. The power of bhakti is indicated by the cessation of attachment to prescribed duties, which arose in them from hearing Bhagavatam. So they were performing their varnashram dharma of doing yagya. Brahmanas are supposed to do yagya. Patan, patani, yajan, yajana. So they gave up that swadharma of the Brahmanas and they took the swadharma of the soul, that is pure devotional service. The power of bhakti is also indicated by the appearance of complete disinterest in impersonal liberation within Sukhdev. So it will come up later on. Parinishtitopi nairgunya uttam shloka leelaya grihita cheta rajarshe akyanam yad aditavan. O saintly king, Rajarshe, Parikshit himself is, Sukhdev himself is telling to Parikshit, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, Parinishtopi Nairgunya. Yet I was still attracted, Grihita Cheta, by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, Akhyanam Yadaditavan, which is described by enlightened verses, Uttama Shloka Leelaya. So, by the power of bhakti, they gave up their swadharma of doing yagyas. By that same power of bhakti, Sukhdev gave up, became disinterested in liberation. So that is the glory of bhakti. There is another meaning to Swarga, however. So this is the first meaning of Swarga. Swargaya Lokaya means they were doing a yagya to attain Swarga. There is another meaning. Swarga means glorified. Giyate, ga. His ga is there, na? Giyate. In Swarg. Swar and ga. That is how Swarga is there, right? Swargaya, who is praised in Swarga. Swargaya, who is praised in Swarga. Like the name Urugaya, who is greatly praised, indicates the Lord. So Swargaya means who is praised in the Lord? Who is praised in the Lord in Swarga? The Devatas praise the Supreme Lord. His loka is Vaikunta. So the Devatas also are praising that Vaikunta loka. Therefore, Swargaya Lokaya means for going to Vaikunta of the Lord. This is another meaning of Swargaya Lokaya. Animation, not blinking, in this verse refers to Vishnu because in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:121 quoted above, the sages themselves identify the place as Kshetriya Asmin Vaishnava, a place of Vishnu. So that is animation meaning. They applied themselves, asata, to performing karma, pious, prescribed duties, actions, satram, which were to last for 1,000 years, sama. So it was 1,000 year sacrifice. Or the sentence can mean they performed asata, a sacrifice of killing animals such as agnistome, generally performed for going to Swarga. The use of the verb is similar to expressions such as he performs nirvapati, he sprinkles shraddha rites to the pitras on the dark moon, or they perform upayanti, they approach the marriage of the 8-year-old girl. Thus, the meaning of as to sit can here mean perform with suppression of the meaning of the original root. So this is a little technical that they performed yagya for attaining Swarga. That is the meaning which Vishwanath Chakra Thakur gives. Okay. Any questions up till now about this verse explanation, both by Prabhupada and Vishwanath Chakra Thakur? Okay, so let's go. Okay, one question has been raised. Yes, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, there was mentioned that Brahma contemplated on some mental ring and that center axle is the
Yes.
place Naimisharan. So it is like we can understand this earth being center of the 14 planetary system and that place is the center. It is that way we can understand how it is.
No. These two comparisons are quite different. We have to just understand that Brahma contemplated a wheel, and the wheel has a rim where you hold the wheel, and the wheel starts rotating, and he released it. So then this rim, Nemi, that rim fell at Naimisharanya. Rim fell at Naimisharanya. The wheel is very huge, but the rim fell at Naimisharanya, and that's why, it is called as Naimisharanya. That is how we have to understand. Is it clear?
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so this few other verses, at least the section of the sages glorify Sutta, we will take up. So the setting of the scene is Naimishe, Animishe Kshetre. There the sages are seated for 1,000 year sacrifice. And now what happens? Vyas is narrating to us. Ta ekada tu munaya praturhut hutagnaya satkritam sutam asinam prapachur idamadarat. Once, the ekada, the sages to Muniyo, having offered oblations into the sacrificial fire, huta hutagnaya satkritam, in the morning, pratakal, with great respect, adarat, inquired Prapachur from Sut, who had been received properly and was seated. Sutam asina. So in this yagya which was happening, suddenly Sut arrived there. And with great respect, they inquired after properly seating him. Let's see what Prabhupada has to say. Morning is the best time to hold spiritual services. Pratakal. And that's why morning is the best time to do the Japa Yagya. The great sages offered the speaker of Bhagavatam an elevated seat of respect called as Vyasasan, the seat of Srila Vyasdev. So, offering respect means giving asan, and especially one who is going to speak Vyasdev's Bhagavatam, then that is Vyasasan. Srila Vyasdev is the original spiritual preceptor of all men, and all other preceptors are considered to be his representatives. A representative is one who can exactly present the viewpoint of Srila Vyasdev. So now Prabhupada is going into the definition of what is, Vyasasan. Vyasasan means you are representing Vyasdev, so you have to present Vyasa's darshan. The Vyas darshan is the Vedanta darshan of Vyasdev, which is called as the Uttar Mimamsa, and especially the Vedanta Sutra and the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra, or the commentary on the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Vyasdev impregnated the message of Bhagavatam unto Srila Sukdev Goswami, and Srila Sukdev Goswami heard it from him, from Sukdev Goswami. All bona fide representatives of Vyasdev in the chain of discipline successions are to be understood to be Goswamis. Now here, anyone who wants to represent Vyasdev, first thing is he should be a Goswami. That means he should fulfill the criteria of Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jigva Vegam. He should be able to fulfill that criteria. Then only he's, can represent Vyasdev. This is first. These Goswamis restrain all their senses and they stick to the path made by the previous acharyas. So Prabhupada is now further elaborating on Goswamis. Goswamis means first they restrain their senses. Not only that, because there are others in the other path, like in the path of other impersonalists also, they also restrict their senses. But the second criteria is they have to stick to the path given by the previous acharyas. They should follow the Guru Shish Parampara. The Goswamis do not deliver lectures on the Bhagavatam capriciously, whatever comes to their mind. No, whatever statements they are saying, whether in the Bhagavad Puran, this evidence is there, Shastra Praman is there or no. Otherwise, they don't make any statements. Rather, they execute their services most carefully, following their predecessors who have delivered the spiritual message unbroken to them. So, Prabhupada in his purport is explaining us how we have to become a representative of Vyas and what is Vyasasan. Those who listen to the Bhagavatam may put questions to the speaker in order to elicit the clear meaning, but this should not be done in a challenging spirit. So here Prabhupada, which part of the commentary on which part of the verse is he commenting upon? Anyone knows? Raise your hand. Prabhupada spoke about the asana and vyasasana, and what is the qualification of one who has to sit on the vyasasana. Now, just as we are reading this, those who listen to the Bhagavatam, so which part of the verse is he commenting on now? Anyone? Raise your hand. I want you all to study the Bhagavatam systematically like this. Which part of the commentary is this Prabhupada's commenting upon? Ravi Kant Prabhuji, yes. Yes, Ravi Kant Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot. The Adarat Prabhuji.
Adarat, great respect. Okay. Further, anyone else? Adarat Prapuchur. Inquired. Inquiries are being made. Nah? The inquiries have to be made. Adarat. Put questions. Put questions is prapachu. But this should be done, not done in a challenge. So it is prapachur. They offered respects to the sage Sut Goswami, but they inquired, and their inquiry was also with great respect, not in challenging spirit. One must submit questions with great regard for the speaker and the subject matter, with regard for the speaker. This is also the way recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. So where it is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita, who will answer this? Where it is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita? What about others? I'll only have to ask Tirthpad Prabhuji, where it is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. This is the method.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandatpranam. It's 2.72, Karpanya Joseph.
Karpanya dosho. Okay. Tukaram Prabhuji, where it is recommended. That is also the way recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Subrit Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'm sorry, I'm unable to explain.
Okay. Subrit Prabhuji. Subrit Prabhuji, where it is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, you are able to hear me? Oh, no response. Okay, anyone else? Where Ravikant, yes, Ravikant Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Prabhuji, it's Pradipatena Shevaya.
Yes. Tad Vidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnana. So mark that in your books. Bhagavad Gita 4.34. One must learn the transcendental subject by submissive oral reception from the right sources. Therefore, these sages address the speaker Sut Goswami with great respect. Adarat. Prapachur. Okay, commentary by Vishwanath Chagatakar. Huta Huta Agnaya Munaya means the sages who had offered obligations Huta into the sacrificial fires. So Huta is sacrifice, Huta Agnaya is sacrificial fire. That's it. Now, they asked questions, Prapachur to Sut Goswami. So the rishis now speak. Rishaya Uchu, Tvaya Khalo Puranani, Seti Hasani Chanaga, Akyatyanyap Aditani, Dharmashastrani Yanuta. The sages said, Rishaya Uchu. Rishaya means Bahuvachan, Uchu means they spoke. O sinless Suta, Anaga. Certainly, Tvaya Khalu have not only studied but also explained. Akhyatani ap aditani. Adita means to study. Akhyat means explain. The Puranas, Puranani, and the Dharmashastrani, along with the histories such as Mahabharata. Sa itihasani cha yani uta. So here you can see first the sages are glorifying Suta, saying that you're anaga, you're well studied, well read in the scriptures, and you can explain them. You have studied the Puranas, you have studied the Dharma Shastras, you have studied the Itihasas like the Mahabharata. Now, Prabhupada's purport is very, very interesting. A Goswami, the bona fide representative of Srila Vasudev, must be free from all kinds of vices. Now, what part of the verse is Prabhupada commenting upon? Think about it. Yes, cha anaga, sinless. He must be free from all the vices. The four major vices in Kali Yuga are illicit connection with women, animal slaughter, intoxication, speculative gambling of all sorts. So he should be free from all these sins. A Goswami must be free from all these vices before he can dare sit on the Vyasasana. Prabhupada's statement is very, very heavy here. He's saying, dare sit. Don't ever dare to sit on the Vyasasana if you're not free from these vices. That's what is the statement of Prabhupada. That means as far as possible, one should follow all these regulative principles very, very strictly. And then one can dare to sit on the Vyasasana. No one should be allowed to sit on the Vyasasana who is not spotless in character and who is not freed from the above mentioned vices. He not only should be freed from all such vices, but also must be well versed with all revealed scriptures or in the Vedas. So first he should be anaga. That is not sufficient, but he should be all well read. The Puranas are also part of the Vedas, and histories like Mahabharata and Ramayana are also part of the Vedas. The Acharya or the Goswami must be well acquainted with all these literatures. To hear and explain them is more important than reading them. So please mark this statement of Prabhupada. Now, what is Prabhupada explaining here? Now, what is he explaining of the part of the verse, if you see here? Which part of the verse is he explaining here now? Raise your hands. Yes, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, it is Akhyatani api adhitani.
Both Akhyatani, Adhitani. Adhitani means to read. So when we read Shastra, we should, not only read, we should understand it so that we can explain it to others. If we just read without that understanding, and only when you have understood, then you can explain it to others, right? So proper statement is very deep here. To hear and explain is more important than reading them. You just read, but not with a intention to explain. To hear or read is aditani, to explain is akyatani. So here Prabhupada says, compares that to Shravanam and Kirtanam. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. Hearing is called Shravanam and explaining is called Kirtanam. The two processes of Shravan and Kirtanan are the primary importance of progressive spiritual life. One who has properly grasped the transcendental knowledge from the right source by submissive hearing can properly explain the subject. Now, who can explain? One who grasps it from the right source and being humble. And then he tries to understand it, and then he can explain it. So Aditi means to read. Bodh means to have an intellectual insight about whether I have understood it. And then Acharan means one has to apply that principles, what he has heard in his own life. And then Prachar is Kirtanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam. Very, very interesting purport. Okay, there is one hand which has been raised. Yes. Rasamay Radha Ranjan Prabhuji. Very interesting question. Is hearing and reading the same? Does reading also come under Shravanam? Yes, reading also comes under Shravanam. Reading and hearing is the same. Okay. Okay, let's go now to Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary. Itihasani refers to the works such as Mahabharata. That's it. That's what is Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's explanation. Now, text 7 and 8 I have taken together because Vishwanath Chakra Thakur takes them together and gives the translation. Yani Veda Vidam Shreshto Bhagavan Badarayana Anya Che Munaya Suta Paravara Vido Vidu Vettatvam Sam Tat Sarvam Tattvatats tad anugrahat ruhi snignasya shishyasya guruvo guhyam apputa. O Suta Goswami, Suta, because you are submissive, Tvam Saumya. Saumya means also gentle, soft-hearted. By the mercy of the Gurus, Tad Anugrahat, you know, Vetta, all matters in truth. Tat Sarvam Tatvatas, which is the Supreme Lord Vyas. Bhagavan Badrayana, best among the knowers. Veda Vidam Shreshto. Veda is the knowledge. Vidam means to know. Shreshta, you're the best of the knowers. And other sages, Anya Chamudaya, who know Brahman with and without qualities have understood. Paravara Vido Vidu. So some know the absolute truth as Brahman, some know as Paramatma, but you are the best of the knowers because you know the absolute truth as Bhagwan, as presented in the Vedanta Darshan of Vyasdev. The Guru should speak. Bruhu is Stignasya Shishyasya, the secret to the disciple who has affection for the Gurus. Guru Guyam Up Uta. So here, not only Suta had the qualification of knowing the Shastras, but he had attained the mercy, Anugrahat. So it is said that in that assembly when Sukhdev spoke to Parikshit, Parikshit was sitting right in front. You can see here. Suta was sitting far away, and because he was very submissive, Sukhdev Goswami called him nearby and made him sit nearby. So he bestowed his anugraha there. And because he was very, what? Snigdha. Snigdha means he was very, very affectionate. So one should be very gentle. One should be very affectionate to the spiritual master. And then the spiritual master will reveal. Just like there are many sons the father has, but one of the sons has a lot of affection for the father and he serves him very submissively. Then the father will do anugrah and he'll tell a lot of secrets about the family wealth. So similarly, the spiritual wealth is disclosed from the heart of the spiritual master into the heart of the disciple. Like that it is. Commentary by Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentation on the Brahma Sutra or the Badrayana Vedanta Sutras. Veda Vidam Shreshto. No, that Prabhupada is coming. It is called natural because Vyasadeva is author of both the Vedanta Sutra and Srimad Bhagavatam, or the essence of all Vedic literatures. Besides Vyas, there are other sages who are authors of 6 different philosophical systems, namely Gautama, Kanada, Kapila, Patanjali, Jamani, and Ashtavakra. So there are these Shad Darshans, there is the Nyaya propounded by Gautama, there is the Vaishishika propounded by Kannada, then there is the Sankhya propounded by atheistic Kapila, Patanjali Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Jamini is the Purva Mimamsaka or the Karma Mimamsaka it is called. And then there is the Uttar Mimamsaka in the form of Vyasdev. There also, Ashtavakra also propounded his darshan, which is more of impersonalism, where in the Vedanta darshan there is one extreme which is Advaita, the other extreme is Dvaita, and in between is the Achinta Beda Beda Tattva of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So within the Vedanta darshan, there is the impersonalist group, there is the personalist group. Please understand this. There's the impersonalist group and the personalist group. Within impersonalism is Advaita of Sankaracharya, and Ashtavakra also falls in that Advaita. And within the personalism, there are the 4 sampradayas: the Sri Sampradaya, the Madhva Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, and the Kumara Sampradaya. And the essence of all these sampradayas is the 5th one, which is not actually the separate division. It is the essence of all the 4 sampradayas in the form of Achinta Beda Beda of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Ashtavakra comes in the Vedanta Darshan, but it is Advaita. So these are all other authors of the 6 philosophical systems. And Vyasdev is Uttar Mimamsa, but personalism, that is the highest darshan. Theism is explained completely in the Vedanta Sutra, whereas in other systems of philosophical speculations, practically no mention is given to the ultimate cause of all causes. So according to Gautam, the cause of all causes, is ultimately logic, Nyaya. Canada is the cause of all causes, the whole creation is because, the cause of all causes is atoms. And Kapila says the 24 elements. But who created these 24 elements? The Purusha. So they don't refer to the Purusha. Patanjali little connects to the Purusha, but again, it is an impersonal, inclination is there. So the ultimate cause of all causes is not hinted there. One can sit on the Vyasasan only after being conversant with all systems of philosophy, so that one can present fully the theistic views of Bhagavatam in defiance to all other systems. So today, the Saddarshans are not so prominent, but there is only atheism and there is scientific theories. So one has to more now know the atheistic darshans and the scientific darshans and defy them and present the Vedantic darshan of Vyasdev. Srila Sut Goswami is a proper teacher, and therefore the sages at Naimisharanya elevated him to the Vyasasana. Srila Vyasdev is designated herein as the personality of Godhead because he is the authorized, empowered incarnation. Bhagwan Badarayana. Now the next verse also commentary I am taking of Prabhupada. The secret of success in spiritual life is satisfying the spiritual master and thereby getting his sincere blessings. Anugrahat. Srila Vishwanath Chakra Thakur has sung in his famous 8 stanzas of the spiritual master as follows. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Only by his satisfaction can one please the personality of Godhead. And when he is dissatisfied, there is only havoc on the path of spiritual path. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadot. It is essential, therefore, that the disciple be very much obedient and submissive to the bona fide spiritual master. Srila Sud Goswami fulfilled all these qualifications as a disciple, and therefore he was endowed with all favors by his learned and self-realized spiritual masters such as Srila Vyasadev and others like Sukdev Goswami. The sages of Naimisharanya were confident that Srila Sut Goswami was bona fide. Therefore, they were anxious to hear from him. Now, for both these verses, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary. Vidam refers to persons who know. Paravara Vida means persons who know both Brahman with qualities and without qualities. So he knows Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Guru should speak the secret to the disciple who has affection, stigdasya for the gurus. This is in the potential and thus expresses the following idea. Since you were a disciple having affection for your gurus, they must certainly have revealed the secret to you, and you must have understood all those confidential subjects. While rejecting sages who extract their own ideas from all these confidential topics and then speak, we are asking you, the speaker of all authorized doctrines, about these subjects. So here we can see these are the qualifications of Vyas. He was Anaga, free from all vices. Prabhupada explains how one should be free from all the sins of Kali Yuga, the 4 regulative principles. He was Akhyatani Aditani. He was well read and he could explain them. He was the most learned Vedantist because he presented the Vedanta darshan of Vyas. He was Saumya and Snigdha, one who was pure and simple and one who was very submissive and having affection. So these are the internal qualities one should have. If we have these external qualities, but we don't have these internal qualities, then also we are not qualified. So that ends this section. In the next class, we will start with the questions. After glorifying the spiritual master Sut Goswami, then the sages will pose questions. So that we will take up tomorrow. Okay, Ravikant Prabhuji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji. I have a question. Is that in Srila Prabhupada commentary, he told that one should know all the philosophies in order to present Bhagavatam. like so Sankhya philosophy, all other philosophies also we should know. Is it
Yes.
really important to know all about all the other philosophies?
Yes. As I mentioned that, uh, Vyasdev himself will refute all these darshans in the Bhagavatam. So by studying Bhagavatam, studying the Gita, uh, Krishna in the Gita also, these second chapter, if you see, there are these other darshans also which are refuted by Krishna, the atheistic darshans. So one is one should study our literatures, the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and if you are, arguing in the scientific circles, so you should know what their scientific theories are. So today I said more than studying these six darshans, you have to study today's darshans, which are the scientific darshans presented by the scientists, because there are no other great scholars who are presenting, Jamini Sutras or Kapila Sutras. So there are these modern, atheistic arguments in the form of, scientific theories and all. So one should know that if he is preaching. But in general, one should have a basic knowledge about it so that one can refute these atheistic arguments and present the theistic arguments of Bhagavatam. As one advances also, one should try to study these other darshans and present the right darshan of Vyasdev. Is it okay, Prabhuji? Any other questions till now?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, it's clear
Clear.
now. And the our Kapila is also, who is explained in Bhagavatam, he's also elaborate and elaborate a lot of about the Sankhya philosophy, and
No,
he
no,
is
no. There is difference. There
yeah.
is difference between the atheistic Kapila who
Mm-hmm.
propagated the Sankhya, and which is, and they are Sankhya Sutras, which constitute as a darshan, where they only analyze the 24 elements, but they don't give reference to Purusha. Whereas Kapil Dev in the Bhagavatam, who is the son of Devahuti, he presents the theistic Sankhya. The theistic Sankhya is again same Sankhya as Vyasdev's also. So there is difference between atheistic Sankhya and theistic Sankhya. So when we study theistic Sankhya of Kapil Dev in the Kapil Shiksha in the Bhagavatam, then we can understand the flaws of the atheistic Kapila Sankhya also. So like that, one should study and understand. So there is difference between the two. One is the atheistic Kapila. His name is also Kapila, but there is a theistic Kapila who is the son of Devoti. Okay, any other questions? Fine. So we have completed this one section now. Now, after this background setting, then the sages will pose the questions. So one after the, you will see the questions from tomorrow's class onwards. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki Jai. Hare Krishna.